Dhimahi means meditation. Dhiyu unuttu chodira inge anugraham பண்ணிடுங்கோ ஓகே டிசைர் ஒரு காயத்ரி மந்திரம் உபதேசம் பண்ணா ஒரு காயத்ரி மந்திரம் உச்சாரம் பண்ணா எல்லா டிசைர் சக்சஸ் ஆயிடும். சுத்தமாச்சா எல்லா புத்தி வித்யா ஞானம் எல்லாம் கிடைக்கும். எப்போ பார்த்தா காப்பாற்றணும். सरस्वती वाक देवता स्वरूप. सरस्वती एतु नेम चले कदी सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं भगवते वाग्देवपिनी सुज्जारमो करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु उत्पृष्टा पद्मपत्र विशालाक्षी पद्मकेशवर्णिनी नित्यं पद्मा लयं पद्मा सामुपा सरस्वती. हरे एतु नेम चले एवलने करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु वतमेशिदा पद्मपत्र विशालाक्षी पद्मकेशर वर्णनी नित्यं पद्मा अयं पद्मा सामं पातु सरस्वती. 16 names like Savitri, Saraswati. And the Saraswati is walk devata swarupini. Walk ella avuttu. Appo adile Hamsa Gayatri. Hamsa, so hum, I am that. Hum, so hum. This is Hamsa Gayatri. Ujjwasam, Viswasam, Paramatma. Andamana Ujjwasam, Viswasam, 24 hours time to Ethina Vati Vandana 21,600 times for a day. So Hamsa Gayatri, அதே காயத்ரி. அந்த மாதிரி யோசனை பண்ணா இந்த இதயத்துல இது மாலின்யம்னா dirty thoughts, bad actions, bad things, all right. அதுக்கோசம் இந்த ஏஜ்ல வந்து காயத்ரி மந்திரம் சொன்னாங்க எல்லாம் படி நாலேஜ் டெவலப் பண்ணும். நாலேஜ் என்னன்னா not only general knowledge, wisdom knowledge also, divine knowledge also develop. The morning, afternoon, before bedtime, the Namasmara. அப்பா பண்ண மாட்டேன். அதுக்கோசம் கிராண்ட் ஃபாதர் எல்லாம் வரும். அந்த மாதிரி வீட்டே போச்சு. ஒப்படையில வேணா நீ பண்ண வேண்டியதில்லை. என்ன பண்ண பிரயோஜனம் என்ன? சும்மா செலவாடும். அதுக்கெல்லாம் உபயோகம் இல்லை. யூஸ்ஃபுல் இல்லை. அதுக்கு என்னன்னு அந்த மாதிரி சொல்லிக் கொண்டிருக்காரு. இப்போ சுவாமி சொல்லிக் கொண்டிருக்காரு இந்த நாமம் மார்னிங் ஈவினிங் இந்த சாணப்படுத்த பண்ணலாமே. ஓம் பர்கோ ஜெவசிரி மே ஐயோ எவ்வளோ அந்த மாதிரி பண்ண சாப்பாடு சொல்லிக்கலாம். ஒரு வாட்டி 2 வாட்டி திங்க் பண்ண இந்த காயத்ரி வந்து நைவேத்தியம் பண்ண மாதிரி பிள்ளை எல்லாத்துக்கும் சாதத்துக்கு டைம் இருக்குது, பாத்ரூம் போகிறதுக்கு டைம் இருக்குது, எல்லாத்துக்கும் டைம் இருக்குது, மக்கள் சொல்கிறதுக்கு எல்லாத்துக்கும் டைம் இருக்குது. அத்தனை எனக்கு అందరికీ
श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम्। गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती दीनामवित्रयमतु गणेशाय नमः सरस्वत्यै नमः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम् ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात् ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात् ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः मधुसूदना मुरलीधरा मधुसूदना मुरलीधरा मधुसूदना मुरलीधरा मधुसूदना मुरलीधरा मधुर मधुर हे गिरिधर भाया मधुर 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 हे गिरिधर भाया माधवा मधुसूदना माधवा विठ्ठला हरी विठ्ठला
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 विठ्ठला हरी विठ्ठला पांडुरंग विठ्ठले हरी नारायण पुरंदर विठ्ठले हरी नारायण
पुरंदर विठ्ठले हरी नारायण
हरी नारायण भजो नारायण
हरी नारायण भजो नारायण
साई नारायण सत्यनारायण
साई नारायण सत्यनारायण
विठ्ठला हरी विठ्ठला
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 पांडुरंग विठ्ठले हरी नारायण
पांडुरंग विठ्ठले हरी नारायण
पुरंदर विठ्ठले हरी नारायण
पुरंदर विठ्ठले हरी नारायण
हरी नारायण भजो नारायण
हरी नारायण भजो नारायण
साई नारायण सत्यनारायण
साई नारायण सत्यनारायण
विठ्ठल विठ्ठल पांडुरंग हरी नारायण विठ्ठल विठ्ठल पांडुरंग हरी नारायण विठ्ठल विठ्ठल पांडुरंग हरी नारायण हरी नारायण भजो नारायण
हरी नारायण भजो नारायण
साई नारायण सत्यनारायण
साई नारायण सत्यनारायण
विठ्ठला हरी विठ्ठला
सत्यनारायण हरि सत्यनारायण हरि नारायण हरि नारायण हरि नारायण नारायण हरि नारायण हरि नारायण नारायण हरि नारायण हरि नारायण सत्यनारायण हरि हरि नारायण हरि नारायण हरि नारायण हरि नारायण
श्रीनारायण पुरुषोत्तम सिद्धबुद्धतु स्कन्दविनायक सविता पावकतु सविता पावकतु ब्रह्मवर्षतु योगशक्तितु विष्णुपिता प्रभुतु रुद्रविष्णुतु रामकृष्णतु रहीमतावतु रहीमतावतु वासुदेवतो विश्वरूपतु चिदानन्दहरितु आदिदेयतु अकालनिर्णय आत्मलिङ्ग शिवतु आत्मलिङ्ग शिवतु आत्मलिङ्ग शिवतु जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी सत्य साई हरे भक्त जना संरक्षक भक्त जना संरक्षक हरि महेश्वर ओम जय जगदीश हरे शशिवदना श्रीकरा सर्वा प्राणपते स्वामी सर्वा प्राणपते आज सकल बलतीका आज सकल बलतीका आवर मानव ओम जय जगदीश हरे माता पिता गुरुदेव मय्यं करुणीवे स्वामी मय्यं करुणीवे ज्ञान ब्रह्म जगन्नाथा ज्ञान ब्रह्म जगन्नाथा ज्ञानेन शयना साई महादेवा सत्य साई महादेवा मंगल आरती अमृतो मंगल आरती अमृतो मंगल गिरिधारी ओम जय जगदीश हरे नारायण नारायण ओम सत्यनारायण नारायण 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 ओम सत्यनारायण नारायण ओम सत्यनारायण नारायण ओम जय सुखिनो सत्य साई बाबा जी की परम पवित्रम बाबा विभूति परमं विचित्रं लीला विभूति परमं पवित्रं बाबा विभूति परमं विचित्रं लीला विभूति परमार्थ इष्टार्थ मोक्ष मोक्षप्रदानं बाबा विभूतिं निरमाश्रयामि बाबा विभूतिं निरमाश्रयामि Sacred, holy and supreme is Baba's vibhuti. Pouring forth with praising His prayer vibhuti. So auspicious is His mind, He grants liberation. Baba's vibhuti, His power protects me. Paramam pavitram, Baba vibhuti, paramam vichitram, Leela vibhuti, paramartha ishtartha moksha pradhanam, paramartha ishtartha moksha pradhanam, Baba vibhuti, Vidamashrayami, Baba vibhuti, Vidamashrayami. Mangalam Gurudevaya, Mangalam Jnanadayine, Mangalam Parthivasaya, Mangalam Shri Satya Saine. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
My humble pranams at the lotus feet of our most beloved Bhagwan, respected elders, brothers and sisters, and Desa children, Jai Saran. I'm excited today to introduce our special guest, Dr. Meera Narasimhan, and just wanted to give you a little bit of a background beforehand, which is that so Dr. Meera actually, herself and her family came into Swami's fold in the 1990s. She has served at a number of medical camps at Prashanti and has had the honour of speaking at Swami's 90th birthday, actually in Prashanti as well. By profession, Dr. Narasimhan is actually a neuroscientist and psychiatrist, and she's both a chair at the Deputy of Psychiatry at a leading health organisation, and also a clinical professor and chair of a neuropsychiatry and behavioural science at a university in South Carolina. She combined body, mind, spirituality and clinical science following the principles of Sai ideal healthcare. Dr. Narasimhan is an educator, a researcher and compassionate physician, and has received many regional, national and governmental awards, but believes that the greatest reward is having our dear Swami as Guru and Guide and God. She has experienced numerous, she has had numerous experiences, such as a picture appearing at her home, and how that was used for her guidance and challenges, and I'm sure she'll cover some of these as well. Many divine experiences with Padukas at Prashanti, and a fascinating experience with the Gayatri Mantra. So I invite Dr. Narasimhan for a talk, please, and yeah, please enjoy. Sairam.
Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande paramanandam madhavam. Humble salutations at the lotus feet of our beloved Swami. Thank you so much for this opportunity. With Swami, it's like you expect the unexpected. I was just being here in London for a Royal College of Physicians event, and it so happened that since yesterday when I arrived, I've been having satsang with Swami devotees, with Shitu and his family yesterday, and then of course here today, and then get to see Dr. Upadhyay on Tuesday. So it's just been a Sai-filled London trip. So as Brother Balraj just mentioned, we've been in the Sai fold since the 90s. But to me, it's like the greatest blessings is kind of just experiencing and living in His presence every single moment of your life. And to me, truly, Swami has been that guide, that Guru and God, who has guided me through this ocean of existence, what we call as Bhavasagara. Right? We all have trials and tribulations, stressors that we go through in life. Nobody's life is a bed of roses. We all know that. But to me, having that Guru to guide you, navigate you through those vicissitudes of life has just been a true grace and blessings of the dear Lord. So I'll kind of talk today to you all, looking at it from a worldly kind of lens, exploring it from a scientific lens as a neuroscientist, and also from a spiritual lens as a spiritual seeker. So now when you look at Swami, kind of, the way in which Swami entered our lives was in the mid-80s, wherein a picture of Swami had been presented to my dad. This gentleman had been an ardent devotee of Swami. He lived in Chennai, and we used to just be a part of the bhajans at IIT campus in Chennai. Every time we went from Bhopal, where we lived, to Bangalore. And not realizing who Swami was, we would just be a part and parcel of this bhajan. We enjoyed bhajans. Everybody sings in my family. We call it the Singing Simmons family, Simmons family. So we kind of, we enjoyed it, and of course, he had given us this picture. So this picture adorned the cupboard that my sister and I shared. Fast forward to me completing my medical schooling, I was very intent on pursuing my higher education in psychiatry in the United States. And so when I went through all the licensing examinations, I had the opportunity to go in and interview at the US consulate. And when I got there, even though I had an interview letter, my visa was rejected. I was distraught. Here I was, had this expectations of going to the United States and kind of, furthering my professional career. I came back and I would open the cupboard every single day and weep in front of this picture. 2 weeks later, a miracle happened. This gentleman who happened to be the chairman of the Baba Atomic Research Center, who came to visit the facility where my dad worked, and he said, why don't you try the Mumbai consulate? Come to think of it, if one consulate has already rejected it, why would another consulate be approving it? We didn't even think. We went. I got my visa approved. I landed in the United States. Every family that I went to for my interviews, right, as we do our residency interviewing process, happened to be a Sai devotee. So he was already showing me that I'm there with you every single moment of my life. So I ended up getting to meet Geeta Ram, who I know has spoken at the Sai Center here. I was just with her 2 weeks ago at the retreat in Raleigh, Durham. So got to meet her in the process. Then I had a thirst for learning bhajans. Sai bhajans are so easy, right? It just comes to you. Whether you have training in Carnatic music or classical, Indian, any kind of music, Sai bhajans just flows through. So I ended up learning bhajans, and then I never went to a Sai center as such. We just did that. My parents had already moved to the United States by then. And so we kind of just would do bhajans together at home on Sundays. And that's pretty much our entire routine, was just doing bhajans, doing Sai Ashtotram, bhajans and Arati. Subsequently, after I finished my residence in fellowship training at Yale, ended up moving to South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, where I'm at. And and I went to the first retreat in Atlanta. That was a regional retreat. Happened to meet with two of the speakers at that time, Dr. Chaudhry Volati, who was the medical director of super specialty in Prashantigram, as well as Dr. Hyman Johnson, who was very involved with the Education for Human Values project. So I was very impressed with what he talked about EHV and all of what Swami had laid out in terms of human values. So I went up and spoke to him after his talk, and he said, "Meera, what do you do?" I said, "I'm a physician." He said, "Shouldn't you be working in the medical camp in Parthi when we go?" And so I said, "How do I go about doing that?" So he said, "Let me connect you to Dr. Michael Goldstein and Radha Batina at that time. They were the medical directors." So the virtual connection was made. Never got to hear back from them till about a week before I had to leave for India. So Dr. Batina called me and said, "Meera, would you kind of, how long are you going to be in Parthi?" I've never been to Parthi. So I'm like, 2 days. And she said, no, the medical camp is for a week. You need to be there for a week. I said, fine, done. I had only 15 days of vacation. I said, okay, half my vacation is going to be in Parthi. So we ended up asking people about what Parthi feels like, what do we have to do, where do we stay. So whatever information we were able to collate from folks around us, we ended up, people said, well, you're going during Swami's birthday time, it's going to be, the entire universe is going to be there. So just be prepared, just take bedding with you, you may be put in the sheds. And so we were fine. So my parents and I kind of, roll up everything and we are there. We go to the accommodation office on the 19th of November, 1999. Happens to be Ladies' Day. So we go there, my mom and I to one individual and my dad to the other, and to seek accommodation. And they said, well, you can't expect this. You coming during Swami's birthday time to have a room to yourself. So we were very disappointed, just got up and started walking away. And, we all had these conversations with God, right? It's like, you called me this far, my first medical camp, you don't even arrange for an accommodation. So I'm having that thought as I'm walking out, and then the gentleman just stops us and says, "You're all one family?" I said, "Yes. We have a room in N9. It included hot water as well." So Swami really took care of us. That was my first trip to Parthi. That probably had a lot more meaning in 2015 when I was invited to speak on Swami's 90th birthday. My first trip was on 19th November 1999. 16 years later, ended up coming. And again, I'm not somebody, I was not born into the Sai family. And just happened to kind of have Swami, clearly enter my life. He's always been there, So that was my first trip. So then came kind of 2000. 2000 was my second medical camp, Guru Purnima. So I ended up saving all my vacation just to go to Parthi. 10 days in July during Guru Purnima, 5 days coupling it with the Thanksgiving weekend in the United States. So that would be another 10 days there, right? So I said, I'm just going to do this. And Guru Purnima happened to sit in the front row. Every individual has the opportunity, if at all, to sit in the front row with your particular group. So I got to sit in front. Swami beautifully comes from his residence. You could literally see him glide, right? With his robe barely, his feet barely touching the floor in Sai Kulwanthal. He's walking, walks to where I'm seated. And then there's a lady next to me in Telugu. She says, "Swami, please bless my daughter-in-law who's sitting behind her." So Swami is standing in front of me. He materializes vibhuti and starts giving it to me. So I'm like, if I didn't ask for it, I'm not going to put out my hand. That's not me. So, but then of course the Sevadal who was sitting next to me kind of started to just force my hand through. So I had to literally get that vibhuti. It was a very coarse yellow colored vibhuti. That was my first kind of close proximity with Swami. So as a neuroscientist, I got to see materialization, right? That was the first miracle that I experienced. Same trip, Guru Purnima. Everybody was, there used to be the Paduka festival, right? So every one of my kind of physician colleagues were getting these Padukas. So I said, wouldn't it be nice to have a set of Padukas at my prayer room, to be able to have that as a transitional object. When I'm not in Parthi, at least I can experience Swami at home. So got one set for myself. My sister also happens to be a physician. She had just had a baby, who was a year old, so I knew that she wouldn't be able to make it. So I just got another set for her as well. So I'm sitting in Sai Kurbantan on Guru Purnima Day in 2000, July 16th, 2000. So I'm sitting there, and again I happen to sit in front. What are the odds of that? Right? Doesn't happen. I mean, there are so many people, like more than 30 people in a medical camp. How can the same person sit twice in a row? So I'm sitting in front, holding on to nicely decked, and we're all looking pretty, and I'm holding on to that set of padukas. My friend who was in the third row is holding on to the other set that I've kind of gotten for my sister. So Swami comes, the music is playing, Swami comes, but he's not on my side of the darshan line. He's on the other side of the darshan line. So I kind of so he went past where I was sitting, kind of took away quite a distance from where I was sitting. And I just resigned to the fact that, I'm holding on to the padukas. Just having the padukas in his presence is blessings enough, right? Because obviously I'd had the vibhuti experience that trip. So the minute I had the thought, Swami came from where he was diagonally to where I was sitting and put both of his hands on the set of padukas I was holding on to. So that was, truly me experiencing divinity, touching the padukas and in a sense touching me. When, monkey mind, right? So the thought I'm having in my mind is Swami's already touched this set of padukas. I told myself I need to give, I've experienced it, right? In this janma. I've got to give this set of padukas to my sister. The minute I had that thought, he moved forward. My friend was in the third row. He leaned forward and blessed that set of padukas.
Wow.
That was powerful for me. So, clearly it gave me a sense as a neuroscientist that he can also read your mind. So first it started off with materialization, which I was able to visualize right under his palm. The second was him reading my thoughts aloud in terms of, the actions that he undertook. So and each one of you has had experiences, right? It all starts off with that sneak peek. The picture was a sneak peek for me. Then began these chamatkars, miracles in one's life. Then you get drawn to kind of ways, bhajan, satsang, which we all are a part of. You could be doing something different, but you all chose to be here. And that allows you to, those of you who have been through Bal Vikas, young adults, I mean, it's just amazing to hear you all sing, to be kind of, just wrapped in kind of just this oneness with Sai. That allows us to kind of, take a look at Sai values and teaching, right? How do we start to follow what Swami has laid out for us? That talks about samskar, right? Samchamatar, you get on to samskar. Through this process, Swami always talks about lava sarva. That gets to paropakar, right? Doing service to others. And then finally, experiencing God in everybody, sakshatkar. God pervades everything, right? Animate and inanimate objects. So just experience, it's a total package here. But once you start to experience those miracles, then it's an automatic process to kind of escalate to the next, and the last one. So these are the 5 cars of God realization that each one of us has kind of, experienced in our own unique ways. Now, as a physician, Swami always, when I looked at him, how he's led his life, he's been the greatest role model, right? He has modeled everything for us. So take a look at the large initiatives that Swami undertook. Social care, educare, and Medicare, the 3 large ones. Look at social care. Look at the way in which how he was so deliberate and thoughtful of how he went about doing it. He didn't say, I'm going to educate people first. That's not what he did. He said, Grama Seva. How do I quench the thirst and the hunger of human beings? That was the first thing that he undertook. Going in, kind of making sure that people had food on their table, water to drink. The water supply project was another fascinating kind of initiative that was undertaken. So clearly he showed us that was the first thing. And then of course educating people, giving them that rounded experience, that holistic experience that, modern day education really doesn't provide. So and then came Medicare. Now with Medicare, what I was truly impressed by was free healthcare. That's very important. And I'm one who I strive for kind of, inequities in healthcare. It's like trying to make sure rural folks do get healthcare. And that to me, how do we make it more accessible? How do we make it more affordable, right? Everybody needs to have, just like food, water, and shelter, we need to have healthcare be accessible to all. So free healthcare is kind of one of the SAI ideas. Universal healthcare, everybody needs to get it, right? Free of charge. Comprehensive healthcare. That's where me as a psychiatrist, very often what I see is that in healthcare, we all work in silos. If I'm a cardiologist, I'm just looking at your heart. If I'm a neurologist, I'm just looking at, your brain. So to me, it's like, how do we kind of connect the dots in terms of mind, body, spirit? That's where comprehensive healthcare comes in, integrated approaches to treating individuals. And then finally, preventative healthcare. So these are the tenets of kind of, SAI healthcare. And I was always kind of fascinated by all of this. And, I remember in 1999, were the first trip, I looked at this beautiful, as you kind of going towards Prashanti Nilayam, you see this beautiful temple of healing, right? I was like, oh my God, I always admired it. I was like, this is so beautiful. Never had a chance to go, even during my medical camp, because you're so busy at the medical camp. 2015, what I've realized is Swami always gives me rehearsals. So 2015, before the November 90th birthday, I had the opportunity to get to meet, at that time, the super specialty hospital really needed to have a warm body, a chancellor, with Swami kind of having left his physical presence. Happened to meet this gentleman. He said, you should be, why aren't you speaking at the super specialty? You're a psychiatrist, you know the kind of the mind-body spirit equation, why don't you kind of go ahead and speak? So I was yearning to be there during sports meet. That was always a thought. I never mentioned it to him. I just had it in the back of my mind. We were there, every year we are there, December through January. I'm hoping that I'm there during that time. He said, I'm going to call the vice chancellor up and set it up. Never got to hear back. And then about 3 days before sports meet, I get a phone call. And the gentleman says, I would love to meet you. And would you be willing to come during sports meet? Because I'm leaving on January 13th. Again, you kind of just talk to Swami and he makes it happen. So as I'm driving towards Prashanti Nilayam, I get a phone call, and that was Dr. Chaudhary Voletti. Remember, the same speaker in 1999 I had the pleasure of listening to. He was then the medical director at Super Specialty. So he called me up and he said, I just got a phone call. I hear you're coming to Prashanti Nilayam, and we would like you to speak. And this was the only trip. I normally carry my flash drives with me, like 20 to 30. I have all my presentations on it. My mom keeps complaining, you carry such a large bag. You can see that bag there, right? So I carry such a large bag every time. She's like, so you're going to injure your shoulder at some point. So this trip, I choose to kind of, keep all my flash drives in the United States. And this is when I get asked to do a presentation. This isn't going well. So I had to call my assistant and she kind of got her to, go onto my desktop, download it, and then send it to me. I had to very quickly pull it all together. And then, of course, I ended up presenting on this. And the interesting part, Dr. Voletti introduced me. He's a tall gentleman, tall, lanky gentleman. I'm not very tall. I'm short. So I get to the podium is still here. I can barely see people, they can barely see me. I'm like, how am I going to manage this? So what I did was I stood on my toes. So the entire 1.5 hour talk was done on my toes. So no pun intended. Standing on your toes was literally what I did throughout my presentation. But then I ended up getting to meet, that was another introduction into folks who were within the Sai family. So one connection after another. And it was just incredible how Swami kind of, clearly his hand in every single act. So now, to me, when I spoke about the mind-body-spirit connectivity, it is also important for people to understand that there is a bidirectional relationship between mental health and physical health. We all know this, right? So I'll pick a few diseases here: cancer and depression, Parkinson's and depression, seizure disorder and depression. They all go hand in hand. Hypothyroidism and depression, very strong links there. So to me, it was also kind of how do we start to incorporate some of this into the spirituality aspects of it, but also trying to look at what can we do to be able to make sure that your mind is decluttered as we are looking at things. We hold on to a lot, right, in life. We know this, what happened during pandemic? Misinformation, right, through the five senses, all the things that we were getting. As physicians, I'm sure you can relate to this, if we had to go to work, right? We go to work and we are like, oh, am I going to carry the COVID bug back home to my parents? So that was a constant worry for all of us. So kind of just going through that, and Swami has this beautiful way of kind of conveying everything in a very simple way, right? You don't have to be an erudite scholar like Adi Shankara to understand that. Very simple. Food that you eat affects your mind. How simple is that? So as is the food, so is the mind. As is the mind, so are our thoughts. As are our thoughts, so is our conduct. As is our conduct, so is our health. As simple as that. Okay? Pandemic was a fantastic example of that. Any information that you ended up seeing, the panchendriyas, the five senses. So food is not just food consumption. Pizza that I ate, tamasic food, the cheese that I ate, it's not that. It's all of it, all the panchendriyas. Right? What I heard, bad things that we hear. That doesn't sit well with us, does it? Right? Or things that let's say we're passing through a lane and then you smell kind of, it's a urinal, kind of, you smell that. You don't feel good for a period of time. So that plays a role on your mind, right? That then you internalize it and then that plays a role on kind of the rest of your body. Irritable bowel syndrome and anxiety disorders, very strong link. So again, how we perceive things from our surroundings does play a role in our lives. And that's where satsang comes in. Swami has these beautiful analogies. I love it. He compares kind of it to a house fly, right? House fly nibbles on garbage, and then he comes into our home and then nibbles on whatever, something sweet there or something, some other food in there. So our mind is like that, right? We may be sitting here and enjoying this wonderful satsang, but the minute we leave, there's something else somebody says about someone else, which kind of, introduces us as envy or, anger or something else. And we lose this. The positivity that all of which we had kind of, collected and put in as a repository is all lost and diluted because of the things that we do there. Another example that Swami often uses is that of a chariot, right? So the body is the chariot. If you look at the horses, they are the senses, right? They are going in every direction. This horse says, I want to go here. The other horse says, I want to go here. So it's like, oh my God, she's wearing such a beautiful scarf. I love that, right? So those are my senses, hence the ceiling on desires, right? So senses are taking you in every direction. Then you have the reins that hold the horses. That is your mind. So if you let your senses take control of your mind, what is going to happen? You are moving in every direction, right? Versus the mind needs to be in charge of the senses, not the other way around. Now, who controls the mind? The intellect. And hence, Swami talks about the intellect being devoid of ego. Right? Once you clean that intellect of ego, humility, vidya dadati vinayam, your education builds character. So how do we start to do that? And the easiest way in which I have looked at it in life is make God your intellect, your charioteer, right? If you make God your charioteer, you can never go wrong in life. And hence the song, Sanatana Sarathe Saisha Sarvottama Gunanidhe Paramesha. So every song, right, I try to connect it to how we lead our lives. And it's beautiful. I mean, you start to think about it. Every song has so much of relevance to what we do, how we need to lead our lives. Now, as I stated earlier, kind of, none of us have lives which is a bed of roses, right? That's true, right? Does anybody have a bed of roses kind of as their lives now? So even if you go back to Treta Yuga, what happened in Treta Yuga? Sita, when she was captured by Ravana, right? She was put in Ashokavanam, and these demonesses came in and tortured her. That these Rakshasis would say, "Why don't you marry Ravana? It's like, you're going to enjoy kind of all the pleasures of a palatial life and all of that." Sita got to a stage wherein she was so depressed, she wanted to put an end to her life. So she had braided her hair and she wanted to use that as a noose to put an end to her life. Around the same time is when Hanuman comes. He's sitting on that tree. What a beautiful way, right? She had so much of faith in God, in Rama, and that's exactly the time when Hanuman comes in and sees himself there. And obviously, because of Hanuman coming in, bringing the Rama's ring and kind of the Chudamani exchange and all of that. So that's where that song, Sita Mata Shokha Vinasha Anatha Natha Namo Namo Maruti Raya Mahanubhava Ati Balavanta Namo Namo. It can happen to each one of us, right? Having Swami in our lives. I'm just drawing parallels about what people experience in Treta Yuga. Even more recently, like if you look at even Suradas, right? Suradas was a blind saint, but he had even though he lacked vision, he had the inner sight to be able to see the Lord. And when he falls into a well, who does he call to? He calls God. God rescues him. Krishna rescues him, which is so beautiful. And he in that despair, he says, Hey Govinda, Hey Gopala, Hey Govinda, Rakho Sharan, Ab to Jivan Hare. I have nothing else to live for. My life is over, right? And then God comes in and rescues him. To me, that can also happen in each of our lives. It's already been happening, right? I mean, just take a pause and take a look at your life. We only remember the more difficult times when God has stepped in. But God is there with you every moment of your life. If you say He is your Hridaya Nivasi, right? He's always there. So to me, it's like, I think that is what we really need to tap into. There is this story of this, Sadashiva Brahmendra is a saint, and Swami likes this, Pibare Ramarasam. You must have heard Swami sing that beautiful song. So how do we get to, I know each one of us has to live in this world, which means you have to fulfill your worldly obligations as a husband, as a son, as a daughter, as a wife, as a mother, as all of that. But also, how do you start to work towards that bodily detachment? And that is important as well. So once Sadashiva Brahmendra is walking, is totally, it's just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, totally immersed in the Lord, in Lord Rama. And he's walking and somebody comes in and chops off his hands. He doesn't even realize it because he's in God consciousness. He doesn't realize this. And then somebody comes in and says, you're bleeding because somebody's chopped off your arms. All that he does is they give him the arm that has been chopped off. He just puts it back and chants Rama's name and goes. Mm-hmm. And God it's just like gluing it back on. And there is that beautiful line in which, in the Pibare Ramarasam song, it says, Janana Marana Bhaya Shoka Viduram Sakala Shastra Nigamagama Saram Pibare Ramarasam Rasane Pibare Ramarasam Pibare Ramarasam. The essence of the scriptures are in the Ramanama, and Swami talks about it, right? Just keep chanting the name of the Lord. The easiest for us in the Kali Yuga is Namasmarana. I mean, think of the numerous times we have chanted God's name and it's come to our rescue, right? We also have seen like the dacoit Ratnakara being transformed to Sage Valmiki, right? He couldn't even chant Rama. He chanted Mara, 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 Mara. It became Rama, Rama, Rama. So just the essence of what Swami has conveyed to each one of us in terms of easy things, easy to do. These are very easy to do, right? Chanting the name of the Lord is so easy. In addition to that, Swami beautifully, I think I was very delighted that you put that clip from Swami initiating somebody into the Gayatri Mantra during the Upanayanam ceremony. What a beautiful thing to do. Vedamata Gayatri, right? When you talk about Gayatri, it is, Swami says, it is Sarvaroga Nivarani Gayatri. It will take care of every illness. Sarva Dukkha Pariharini Gayatri. Anything kind of, negative that's going on in your heart. Sorrows. It will take, you have to go what Swami said, right? So one mantra can give you everything. Roga Nivarana, Dukkha Pariharana, and Sarva Vancha Falashri. So it will give you God to chant it with all sincerity. And I'll give you a couple of examples from my own life. So in 2005, about two decades ago, my mom and I, we don't have a Sai center in Colombia where I live, and so we had gone to, one of the families used to hold a bhajan every month. So we went in and we were doing bhajans. I switched off my telephone at that time. My dad was living with my sister, who lives in North Carolina, about 3.5 hours away. And so after I finished the bhajans, I switched on my phone, and my sister had called several times. So I called her back, and she said Dad had a heart attack, and he's been sent to the hospital. And so she was there with him. And I obviously chanted the Gayatri through my trip, 3.5 hours driving on the road to getting to the hospital. And the gentleman who was there's a cardiologist who came in and saw him, as well as a cardiothoracic surgeon. The cardiothoracic surgeon, who was supposed to be on that day, for whatever reason, was called in sick. So there was a covering physician who was stepping in to take his place. This gentleman had performed the maximum number of cardiac bypasses in the state of North Carolina. I couldn't have done it, right? It was Swami, the chanting that we clearly putting faith in the Lord. This gentleman was one of the finest gentlemen. His father was a psychiatrist, so we already had that connection. He would take me inside to view my dad's angiogram. I'm from a different healthcare system. You don't allow people to walk into your viewing rooms and stuff. So he would do that. And then we had to make a decision. As the older daughter, I had to decide whether we are going the medication route or do we do the bypass. And I decided, he would have to live with pain and on medication. So why don't we go the bypass route? So we said yes to bypass. And then the day of the surgery, the physician comes in. He says, I would like to pray with you all. So this gentleman, we all held hands and prayed. How often does that happen in the West? Does not. So we went in. It was a 6-hour-long procedure. It's a triple vessel disease. Went in, and every 2 hours he would come in and give us a report as to how we're doing. So then, of course, I was holding on to a booklet of the Hanuman Chalisa, and it's a picture of Swami, which says, "Why fear when I am here?" I kept chanting the Gayatri, Hanuman Chalisa, alternating both of those. Dad came out of the surgery. He had to be intubated, and then what you see is that when I opened that booklet, it was I had put it in one of those card holders, a plastic cover. From his hand, a spray of vibhuti. I've had so many such experiences. In the interest of time, I'll to talk about, to me, what is very important for us is having that faith and trying to follow what Swami has laid out for us in terms of his teaching. Spirituality is not an exercise when we come to the center. It is a lifelong commitment. We've all got to realize that. I look at when balancing the mind, body, spirit connectivity. I often talk about it as a prism, right? There are 3 faces to a prism. If you allow the rays of God's love to go through the prism, what does your life get to be? Like a rainbow, right? It gets to be brilliant. And that's what we all need to allow ourselves to do. Where is that song? Let my heart reflect thy light, Lord, as the moon reflects the light of the sun in love, always in love. So to me, Swami has been an Akshaya Patra, limitless MasterCard. He'll give you whatever you want, right? It may not happen today, it'll happen at some point. But to me, you've got to hold steadfast. The only way in which we can sanctify our lives is by making sure that we're following his teachings, following in his footsteps. And I'll end with this song, which clearly conveys to me what he's given to me in my life, the immense love that God has given. And to me, there's nothing else I want. सारे संसार का प्यार मैंने तुझी में पाया, तू मिले दिल खिले और जीने को क्या चाहिए, तू मिले दिल खिले और जीने को क्या चाहिए. Salam.
Om Shri Sai Ram. Thank you very much, sister. As a wonderful encounter of sister's life journey experiences, and I love the way she combined mental health, physical health with Swami's teachings, with how we conduct ourselves, and with bhajans as well, and stories from yesteryears from the Ramayana and other saints and such like. But yeah, it's wonderful to hear that. And thank you very much for sharing. Sai Ram. Quickly over to announcements. We continue with 1008 home bhajans. So we have, hopefully this week, we're asking for any singers to attend Brother Chirag's home bhajans on Thursday. He's in Brentford. So anyone who would like to sing, come along, please do let Subiksha or Babish know. We also have our bhajans at Karuna Manor House. This is a care home for the elderly, which will be held from 3 to 4 p.m. on the 15th of June. It's a wonderful way to combine bhajans and service together. Please do join in again, let Subiksha and Babish know, please. And then the following week, Brother Deepak's 24th to 28th, we're finalising a date, but it will be in Palms Green, and another opportunity to sing home bhajans there. One more announcement, we have just announced our national retreat from a UK organisation will be held Saturday the 31st of August and then Sunday the 1st of September. It's in Leicester, and there's an opportunity to listen to satsang by Amit Deshpande, who's from Prashanti Bhajan Group, and Antonio Guerrero Arognes, who is our national president from Spain. In addition, there'll be other workshops, guided meditation, nature walks, and a get to know of each other, sharing experiences. So thoroughly encourage everyone to attend. There is a registration for this, which is online, which I've shared, but I'll share again. Please do ask me if you have any further queries. There is a one-off fee of £27.50 per person on this to cover the cost, but yeah, if anyone has more information they need, please do let me know. And that concludes today's program. For bhajans next week, anyone like to submit bhajans or sing, please, we'll be practicing in the adjoining room. Please do let Pavish or Subiksha know. And yeah, thank you for joining today's program, and just wishing everyone a healthy, happy, and of course, Sai-filled week. Jai Sai Ram.
ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात् ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात् ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्